Hi, I'm Dan Bricklin, and this tape, Dan Bricklin's Overall Viewer Video 1, is a tape that will introduce you to my new program, Dan Bricklin's Overall Viewer. The Overall Viewer is a new program, a new type of program. It's for displaying data in a very visual way. A lot of people need to display data, and they use computers to do it. But first, in order to help you understand Overall, I thought I'd show you how data had been shown without a computer. For example, this is a phone book, and data like names and addresses that lend themselves to alphabetizing work very well in this format. It's very easy to find what you want very quickly. Computers are used to do the same type of thing, and there are many programs for handling data that works this way. Another type of data like that, here's the physician's desk reference. Drugs of all sorts, alphabetized with information, some pictures. This also lends itself very well to being put on a computer. But look behind me. Here we have a map. This doesn't lend itself as well to computers. Why? You have this little screen, this big map, and there's a lot of information that you'd like to see, a lot of detail, and this lends itself to being laid out spatially. It's a surface. It's not something that goes hierarchical, and you've got to be able to move around on it and see different parts. There are programs that do that, that sort of show you one part and show you another, and whatever. Most of them work just for maps, but Overall lets you use this type of a metaphor for much more than maps, and I'll show you that later. Also, many of them let you look at one place, another, when what you'd like to do is scan like you do with your eye. Overall lets you do that, and we'll see it. One of the other things you want to do with an organization like this, such as a map, is to indicate important parts. Let's say you want to say that there's something of interest, or, you know, this is where one of your plants are. There are all sorts of ways of indicating it, maybe just putting a mark on it. Something else you may want to do, may want to put a little sticky on it with more information, with some text on it. Label the information. Maybe even more information than that. You may want to, put like a little post-it note. There are all sorts of things like this, like you want to be able to coordinate data. Sometimes so many points, all you have is the points. And you want to take all these push pins and just stick them all over the map. You'd like to be able to tie that in to database, maybe to update some of this information. Overall addresses some of that need. So let's go away from looking at the physical, and let's go to the program. Let me show you Overall in action. Here we have an Overall application. We see a map. You'll see the map up here, and a detailed view over here. We'll use the mouse. Here's our map, the Overall view, and here's a more detailed view. And there's what we call the zoom rectangle. It shows you what area of this map, or this image, is shown over here. And if I click on here, I can drag it, and the other one moves. In fact, I can click, I'll click here, click over here. As you can see, intermediate views are shown. I can go all the way across the country. I can drag it across the country. I can click to any given spot and it goes there. You see that if I move just little bits, you can tell where you are. You're kept oriented by Overall, by how it shows the intermediate values. The machine that you're looking at now is a 486-33 laptop. It's not very fast, but it keeps up very well with the mouse. So that's the concept here of having multiple windows where you have what we'll call window 1 here and window 2, a big image behind window 2, a smaller image behind window 1. They're linked together. As you click on one, you see an image in the other. Now let's look at something that doesn't use a map. Here's a catalog. This actually was one of the reasons why I did the product, because I wanted to do a better way of being able to display catalogs. Here we have hand tools, fasteners, paint supplies, bits and blades, plumbing supplies, different things you would find in a hardware catalog with little pictures to tell you what type of thing would be there. Here we have the sections. This is window 1, here we have window 2. Over here we have a window 3. We have 3 images. As I scroll in this window here, you scroll in the other windows nice and smoothly. I can find anything I want. If I know something is, let's see, it's probably a hand tool, but I'm not sure. It's probably something here. I can now look around and see what type of thing. Ah, that's the thing that I want, the thing over here. And there's what's available, what's the part number. I can drag this around to look at it. By laying things out spatially, wrenches and pliers go together. Now, is it a wrench or is it a plier? Well, it's something that looks like this. Things are organized near things that they should be near, not things that they're alphabetically near. Is it a wrench or pliers? Is it P before S, S before P? You don't have to worry about any of that stuff. OverAll takes care of it just by where it is spatially. And by integrating a background, this is a background image over here, together with the 3 windows, you're able to get a very seamless looking application that keeps you oriented, that can add a fun element to a business application. This could be any old type of a catalog, and I can get to any part probably in 2 or 3 mouse clicks. If a person in the field had a catalog that was done this way, they could use it to find something quickly. The applications that you're looking at all come with the product. They were done using OverAll, and they all have a little tutorial that we'll show you later on. Now let me show you the other thing we talked about, which is the ability to put little data items. Let me open up this application, Seats. Here we have an image of an airplane fuselage down here. Here's the cabin. This is window 1. Here's window 2 up here. We drag the zoom rectangle around. You can see different seats. Now here we see there's a little, there's some icons on the side and a key, and this says that those little crossed fork and knife, I guess, is a meal. If I click on it, I see vegetarian meal, text that's associated with it. Now I have data items, the ability to put something here and look at more detailed information. Over here in the other window, you see that there are other indications for the same thing. I have a little black square. Meals aren't that important, so it's kind of in black. This is a red square over here. We'll see when we zoom in, because, click around there. This is repair the armrest. Let's say we want to, we have an unaccompanied minor who's going to go into row 5. So we click over here around row 5, take the unaccompanied minor, just click and drag off of this drag pad, and we get this icon. Drag it to where we want to put the person. Let's put them near the aisle. Release it. Looks like it's sucked into the screen. And there we have it. If I want to type some information, let's say this is Jane Smith. All I have to do is hit enter and then type in the data. Let's focus in on that a little better. All that I did to drag it was take it by dragging. You can always drop it back. It's like solitaire. Things go back if you don't drop them in the right place. Put another kid right next to him. Go over here and put in, say, her brother Michael. So now we have a variety of pieces of information here. I could also type, let's say that I have a garment bag, and I'd like to drop the garment bag over here. And I can type something next to it. Let's say it's from the person in 2B. Just type the 2B, and I have the text right there. It's a label. So you can have labels. You can have labels, you can have icons, and you can have text associated with it. Now I'm using this in a way where I actually be typing into it. The information may be loaded in advance or something like that in an application. These data items can be imported and exported in and out of OverAll using a special format which is described in the manuals. If I don't like where something is, I can just click on it and drag. It doesn't even have to be selected. Let's take this, since I put it in the, didn't put it in the closet, let's put it in the closet, put it in the wrong place. Go put it right here. Just drag them along. If let's say there was a repair, and I took the repair and put it here, well, really wanted to put it somewhere else, just drag it along. Put in leak. Oops. Now you can see all the information about a particular data item by right mouse clicking on the item. It selects it, and up you get the item properties dialog. I'm going to show this just a little bit. So you can see it has which icon. I can choose the icon, different one. The text label, there's a text label associated with it, which font that label is in, the larger text that's associated, larger amount of text. You can have an image file associated with it. I'll show you that later, where it loads a picture, bitmap image. You can execute a command when you click on it. It can have an ID that's used for importing and exporting to be able to tell which ones they are. Which window is this shown in? Do I show it in window 1 and window 2 and window 3? Do I only show it right now? You see it's being shown right here in window 1 and 2. If I click here, now it's only being shown in window 2. Go back here, now it's back again. So you can change those. Finally, you can make it read only and change its position. So these are very useful things to be able to do. Let me show you an application that uses this a little more, that uses some more of the data items. But remember, you can have these drag pads, you can have up to 9 of them, and each one has different values, different defaults of what it produces. You can have your own startup message like you saw over there. In this application, we have a map going from the Beltway around Boston area, Route 128, I-95, and it shows you how to get to Fenway Park, where the Red Sox play baseball. And you can see the route, different details, like where the route is with the dots, in the zoomed-in version. But there's some date items along the way. If you click on the date item, it brings up a photograph as well as some text to help you along your way. And finally, you get all the way, there's Fenway Park. Here, this didn't have to be a map. It could also have been a process. It could have been a ship or a building. Doesn't have to be something geographic. It could be something that lays out very well in a diagram, and you want to be able to see detailed information. You could have a bigger and bigger image down here in window 2 or window 3. You could have had 3 windows, like we do in some of the other examples, to be able to get you great, really fine detail. And at each point, you can still put a lot more information. For example, the information down here, let's see, this one here, You can scroll it if there's a lot of information. Some of them have that. Let's look at some of the other applications. Let's go through. There are a lot of samples that come with the product that are just a plain, these BK backgrounds, they're just a plain background and an image. In this case, it's a screen capture. And this, you'd put your own image in here once you learn how to use the product, which I'll show you in the tutorial. But at this point, we're just going to show all the different samples. So here's one that's with 2. Here's one with 3. We wanted to get to this point, this icon. I can get there that quick, and I could have had date items here. You've seen the catalog. You've seen Fenway. So you're not an artist, but you have something that's too big to fit on the screen. Here we have some scanned images. These were just unscanned. There's no other paint work or stuff like that. It's an old map of Boston. Over here in this black area, we have a scan of downtown Boston, of a map. Here is the background. We have a scan of the same thing, a little larger, just to sort of give you context. It's arty. You don't have to do that if you don't want to be as artistic about it. You could leave this blank. And here we have a higher resolution scan of the same image. And if I move around here, you can see what Boston looked like over 100 years ago. And scroll around in it. You might use this for some illustrations you have already that you want to be able to fit on the screen instead of it being a few thousand pixels wide and high, which you can't fit on the screen well. You could use something like this, scan it and put it right into OverAll. Here's an application done in OverAll. This notes file has some images at the top here. Let's lighten it up a little bit so you can see it. Images at the top of pieces of paper of different type. Here we have different color, different types, some cards here, some stuff here that's has lines, boxes. And you can use this to organize yourself any way you want. Let's say you would like to put stuff about home over here. So drag over that. That's home stuff. And let's say you want to remember to buy milk. Just put it wherever you want, drag and drop. This application is now running on top. Like, you know the way Help works, where it sits on top of other applications? You can run OverAll that way, and this one is set up to do that automatically. If you look up here at the top, you'll see that there are little dots to let you know that there's something there but doesn't give you more information. And if I double click, I have a pop-up text box. So I can say like 1 quart of 2% milk. And I can put whatever other details I'd want. Hit escape, and it's away. So I can fit a lot of information and organize it in very little space. Over here I could put telephone calls I have to return. Here I could put maybe, here's something, let's say I want to have stuff for Peter. I can put other information down here. I have to get him a form or something like that. If I want to know which form, I double click on it and could get that, put more information. Get right over here, one click, get the information, one other to get. And this can be up while you're running another application. So here's an application, a simple one done using OverAll. Doesn't look at all like a map, but it uses the same ability to be able to move around smoothly. If you have something that's urgent, you even have this, you know. And I can type something. And that's all there. Now let's look at another application. Let's see. Phone book. Another generic application. Here we have a phone book organized a little differently than you may have seen before. A, B, C, but really ends next to O and next to A and B. But I click here and I can go anywhere through it, get to any part of it. So here's B, and I can type in, I can hit Control Enter and put in more stuff. There's Software Gardens number. I can hit Enter, and then over here on the left, I have the text, and I can put in more information. Clicking on it can get to it at any point. You can get a heading. Let's say I want to keep track of the babysitters. If you have kids, you may have babysitters. If you have a dog, you have babysitters for your dogs. Oops. How do you spell it? 2 T's. 2 T's. Nothing. Now here's, we'll put in, let's add one like Anna. Yeah, Stacy. So here you have these. Now these are not alphabetically the way you may expect. You can put the telephone numbers here. You can have the telephone numbers out in the on the text. But also, if I started, let's say they got so many of them, and they started moving over here into the O. Who cares? I can tell because of where things are, how things are organized. They're organized spatially, not alphabetically. It's kind of strange for a computer person to see things like this. Oh, I can't sort them. Well, they are sorted, but they're sorted visually, and there's something that a person does. It's person-aided sorting, but it's in a way that means something to people because the location of things is very important to people, and that's how you probably work with your paper notebook. This lets you do that using the computer. And this is a nice layout. Now, we give you these sample files and the raw files for most of them so that you can actually create this application yourself if you wanted to, let's say, change this from ABC to have bigger tabs and put some other information on it. Now, to let you know about this, OverAll has a built-in tutorial making facility. You'll notice already that on one application a startup message came up when you started the application. Well, you can have that. That's so you can tell the people who are using your application done in OverAll what you want to when it starts up. But you can also create what's called a tutorial. In this case, we have a tutorial about the phone book. It tells you about it. This was done by Micah. It's copyright by us, and this is what you can use it for. Press next, and it tells you what this is for, tells you what this is for, tells you about the text box, and you can type stuff in here, tells you about the drag pads, and additional information can tell you about how to be able to create it. A lot of the stuff I've just told you in the tape, and you can run it backwards. Creating these is very easy, and you can put any data file can have a tutorial like this associated with it, so that you as an application developer making an application in OverAll can provide information specifically for the people who are using your application. You can build it into the application. It's not a separate thing bolted on. It's built in. It's real easy, as we'll show you in the tutorial. You can import, export the data items. You can merge, you can import certain data items and update them. A common thing to come with a computer is a reference manual or a reference card that tells you some stuff about it. Sometimes this is done on the computer. Here's a way of doing it using OverAll. Up here in window 1, we have a little corkboard. Down here, we have the different views of the computer that you would expect to see. Here on the right, we have a detailed image of what's over here. So like here we have the different telephone numbers, space to drag some other icons. README, you click on this and you would have README information. Over here, I can see about this part of the computer. Over here, this part. If I click on this, it gives you more information about what things are. Go down here. I can see the SIM slots, for example, add extra memory. So this is a way of being able to put a lot of information quickly accessible, obvious where they are, and it's maybe more appropriate to know what information is available than the traditional way of going in and out with a slide type of metaphor, the hypercard type of way of doing things. The additional thing, of course, is we have data items. So here's some drag pads for being able to drag different data items. So for example, we can drag over here, whatever, some piece of information that I may want, and then if I hit return or hit an enter, I can type some more information down at the bottom. I can hit delete and it's gone. Now, let me show you one of the other ones. If I drag over here, I'm dragging a new board, and I can drop this board right over here. Create a new one. I can come down here, type information, say like that's a SCSI adapter. That's all it takes. Here, this is a disk drive that you can drag into the disk drive. Let's put it over here. And then I can put more information about what it is down at the bottom, or I can type it directly on the top, if it's like a 5 1/4 inch. Something like that. Drag over so you can see it. Okay. That's reference material. You've seen seats. There are a couple maps. Show you the timeline. Some information lays itself out well in a timeline. Well, here's a way of doing that using OverAll. Here we have a blank timeline at the top, and we have a detailed image of that, detailed view, and even more detailed view over here. This one over here is in black and white because it's a very large image, but by making it monochrome it takes up less space. It'll make it easy for you to be able to edit this if you'd like to with a paintbrush or something else. We can grab over here and drag in here. Let's say that's supposed to be October. And if I do a shift drag, I can position it where I'd like. Go down here to the window below, and I can drag a variety of things into here. Let's take, I can take bold text. Let's take this bold text and drag it over here. And now when I clicked on these, watch the bottom, watch down here at the bottom.